Hi everyone, thanks for joining. It's Kenny here again. I hope you're all keeping well, please God. Good and healthy. Now, at the end of my last video, I told you I was going to tell you a story about my ex and what she did to me. Very, very true story, because I'm sure it's after happening to a lot of you. I'm going back to November 2022, Monday afternoon, 7th of November, 5 p.m. I was sitting in my house, got a knock on the door, two policemen. Very bad night now. Absolutely lashing rain out there. Anyway, they handed me a piece of paper. I couldn't figure out why my ex was so late with the school run. She's normally home about 4 o'clock, whatever, but this was 5 o'clock. But anyway, they handed me the piece of paper and they told me I was up in court on the 10th. I said, for what? They said, we don't know. We were just told to come up and bring you this piece of paper. You're up in court. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a mess. So I didn't know what to do. I had to take the piece of paper. And then the punchline came. She said, sir, we're not allowed to leave the house without you coming with us. I said, what? You're taking me out of my own house? I said, for what? What did I do? We don't know, was the reply. We were just told to come up, hand you this, and not leave without you. That's where the panic started. I didn't know what to do. I thought, whew, grab my jacket anyway. I said, am I under arrest? They said, no. I said, why are you taking me out of the house? That's what we were told to do. No matter what I said, they would not leave the house without me. And all I knew, I was up in court Thursday the 10th, 3 days later. 40 miles away from where I was living. So anyway, grabbed my jacket like I said, went out, got into the back of the cop car. Milling with rain, hammering down. And I said, I've nowhere to go. You're hardly going to put me on the street. So I asked one of the officers, would you leave me into the police station for 10 minutes to make a few phone calls? I have some family around town. Fair enough, they agreed. Piss and rain. So anyway, I was in a bad state. Into the barracks I went, police station. Phoned a few of the family members. Told them my position. I was taken out of the house, I had nowhere to go. Nobody had room for me. Not even a sofa, nothing. So I didn't know what to do. And one of the guards kept coming in, cops, and saying, come on, you're ready, you're ready, you're ready, you have to go, you have to go. I kind of broke down, to be honest with you, because I couldn't believe when I was actually sitting. My phone was on about 3%. So next, the guard came in again. We call them guards here in Ireland. Police officer came in again and said, right, come on, you have to go. I said, you're throwing me up the street. I said, yeah. She said, yeah. So can you put me in a cell? I said for the night. She said, we can't put you in a cell because you didn't do it. I said, if I didn't do it, then why am I here? Why did you take me out of my house? No answer. Just wanted me out in the rain, dark, 5 o'clock, winter's evening. So whatever came into my head, I put a little post up on Facebook. Probably had about 3,000 friends at the time. And I said, lads, people, I'm in trouble here. I need someone to stay for the night. I didn't say why. That's just the post I put up. Put on my jacket, grabbed my phone. Just as I got to the front door, literally 25 seconds after I put the post up on Facebook, I hear the phone buzzing. Friend of mine, Kenny, come over. You can stay here, he said. I didn't know the man well now. I know him most of my life, but we're not good friends. We weren't at the time. But he was the only one. The funny part is this man don't really use Facebook. He's in his 60s. He was sitting on his couch watching telly that evening. I think he does a bit of TikTok. So for some reason, the luck of God above, he picked up his phone and pressed the Facebook app. The second he pressed the Facebook app, my post came up straight away. Now, how lucky is that, in all fairness? How lucky is that? So that's when he rang me. I went over, told him the story, done absolutely nothing wrong in the world. And I was taken out of my own house by the cops. So Thursday morning came, the 10th of November 22. I got my second eldest son to drive me up to the courthouse, still not knowing what was going on. And like a fool, I stood up in front of the judge and I pleaded no contest, which I didn't know what in the name of God it meant. Later I found out, but it obviously meant I was agreeing to everything she was after saying, which I didn't know what she was after saying because I had no solicitor. I had from 5 o'clock Monday evening till 9 o'clock Thursday morning. 2 days. And I was on benefits, so you had to apply for legal aid to get a solicitor. And so on, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't going to happen in 2 days, so I just showed up in the court with no solicitor. Pleaded no contest. Went back to my mate's place, Davy, up and down to the council, the local council, to try and get me somewhere to stay for the next week. Nothing happening. Feed you with a bunch of lies, yeah, give us another couple of days, we'll sort you out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, to cut it short, the week my friend took me in for turned into 5 months. Now, that was a very, very hard, probably the hardest 5 months of my life. Reason being, myself and my ex had a 7-year-old son. Now, she had 3 other kids and 3 other men, but we had a son between us. He was 7 at the time, in November 22. And that was killing me, absolutely killing me. I couldn't even walk, little town I live in, I couldn't walk across the street. See, I was after giving her a bar up that day in the court. I didn't know that. I just went in and pleaded no contest to get out as quick as I could. Because I don't like court sitting like that. But I was after giving her a 3-year bar order. 3-year bar order. 3 year 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 bar So if I met my child in a supermarket, on the main street, anywhere, and you ran over to me, she was so evil, she could probably ring the guards and say, I'm after breaking the barn out. So I shouldn't be, 100 feet away from something like that. Oh, them 5 months, I just turned to the drink. Very hard when you're staying with someone, no matter who they are, when you're sharing a little place with someone and your head is completely wrecked, and you still don't know what's going on. What happened? Why am I here? You'd think someone would have at least telling me, even the guards, anybody, what I was after doing. Right? I knew I wasn't after doing it. But yeah, very, 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 very hard 5 months. So March came along, November to March, 5 months. March came along and I said, I can't take this no more. It's killing me not seeing my son. So I applied for free legal aid and bring her back to court to reopen the case. Got the free legal aid. Cost me €150. Well worth it. Hired a solicitor. That's what the legal aid is for. It was then I found out, after hiring the solicitor, what she was after saying to get me out of that house on the 7th of November 2022, 5 months prior. She was after writing 3 pages of lies to a judge, saying I was drunk, disorderly, kids were treading on eggshells, all this blah blah. I read probably the first 5 lines and I couldn't read anymore. But my goal was court, get it all turned around. Now, within that 5 months as well, I had the mayor of my little town working for me on my case to get me somewhere to stay, because the chap that took me in was breaking his contract by having me staying with him, and he was getting very, very paranoid that he'd be thrown out. So anyway, I got the date for the court. That was brilliant. A couple of days later, I got a phone call from the mayor of my little town. I won't mention the name. Kenny, I've good news for you. I said, what's that? Scammer, we call him. That's his nickname, Scammer. Kieran Burke. I have a house for you. I said, what? You're joking. He said, no, I have a house for you. Seriously. Oh, Lord, the relief with myself and my mate. I'm actually moving into a house. Now, this was only a temporary house for 12 months. This man had the power, the mayor, I was nearly going to say the name of my town. This man had the power to make one phone call, get the Tipperary Council to pass this house over to a homeless crowd up in Dublin called the Peter McCreary Trust Fund. And the council did. It's a very powerful man. Very, very powerful man. So that way then Peter McCreary, Father Peter McCreary Trust Fund could move me in straight away. Other than that, I'd be waiting for the council for 12 months. When you're taken out of a house here in Ireland, like I was, you may as well be on the street. And I nearly was on the street. Thank God above in heaven I wasn't on the street, like so many are now. But they put you up for 12 months because when you're taken out of a house on any kind of a charge, whatever, you're on a 12-month probation. That's what they call it. So anyway, number one, I was delighted with the house. Moved over all my stuff, moved in. It was practically new. New fitted kitchen, everything. It was like heaven. Still, I was down out, drinking, eating dirty takeaways 7 nights a week. My head still wasn't right because of one thing. My little 7-year-old son. There was actually times I came out of a chemist one day and I seen her and my 7-year-old son about 50 metres up the road getting into the car. And I actually had to stop to get out my prescription, pretend I was reading it while I was looking up, praying to God he wouldn't see me. Because he would have run out on the road and ran straight down to me. You can imagine what was in that child's head for that 5 months. Right, and it goes on longer. Wasn't just me suffering. He woke up. I was taken away on the 7th of November 22. He woke up on the 8th of November that morning for school. Daddy wasn't beside him. The next day, Daddy wasn't there. The next day, Daddy wasn't there. So he went through a lot, as well as me. Anyway, I kept going and going, and this is what these videos are about. Don't ever give up. If you know you're not after doing anything wrong, fight, keep fighting. No matter who you get, especially when there's kids involved, keep fighting. So the day of the court came up anyway. I stood up in front of the judge and I said, Your Honour, I want to reopen this bar in order. I've done nothing wrong. But he said, Kenny, you showed up in court on the 10th of November at 9 a.m. 2022 and you pleaded no contest. I said, Your Honour, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know what I was up for. I wasn't represented. I just wanted to go in out the door. Anxiety, everything. I had everything. I've taken it out of my house, Your Honour. So he was good enough to let the court go ahead on two conditions. I had to go off and do a 6-month anger management course. Do you know, for what, like? But I had to do it. And I had to go off and do a 2-month parenting course. Now I have 4 kids from another woman. They're all grown up. My eldest is actually 34. Raised them, not a bother. No, never any abuse, violence, nothing in the world whatsoever. So I couldn't understand why I had to go off and do an anger management course. But anyway, that's what he ordered. So I had to do it. Buses here and there, 20-mile journeys, went on and on and on. One of the courses I couldn't get to for 6 months. There were so many people in front of me. And that held up the court. So from March 23, when I applied to reopen the bar order, it took me 17 months. 17 months. Right? Doing all these different courses, waiting for this course to come up, waiting for that course, going back to court. Your Honour, I haven't them done yet. I'm sorry. I'm waiting. He could have turned it out at any time. But he didn't. He kept giving me that chance. So the day came, it was July last year, 2024, 17 months after not seeing my little man. Showed up in court, had all the paperwork in front of me from the parenting court, the anger management, everything, what he asked for. And she thought I was after getting a whisper of this. My solicitor was after getting word from her solicitor saying that you're not going to win anyway. You're not going to get it turned around, no matter what court you go to. But they were wrong. So I was after doing a few silly things within the first 5 months. I was drinking heavy. I was putting stuff up on Facebook. How much I miss my little man and all this. And what I didn't know that she was after hiring someone from social protection that could hack into my accounts, screenshot everything. So that final day in the court, July 24 last year, I was questioned up on the stand. She was questioned. I was questioned. She was questioned. Her solicitor, lawyer, whatever you want to call us, wherever you're from, stood up and said, Your Honour, I have 2 full pages here of Kenny putting up stuff on social media, Facebook and everything. And the judge turned around and looked at her and said, I don't want to know about it. That should have been brought to before me, well before today. Then he turned back and started talking to me. So I just had this good feeling. So next she lifted up her hand again, my ex-solicitor, and she said, Your Honour, this case has cost my client an absolute fortune. See, she had money. A month before she pulled this stunt to get me thrown out of the house. She was after coming into 100 grand, 100,000 euro. Changed her completely. Completely changed her. I was not good for her anymore. We met in 2014. So that's what, 8.5 years we were together. I gave that woman everything, bought her cars, you name it. Raised her kids as if they were my own. That's what you do. You go into a relationship with a woman or a man, whoever you are, and they have kids. You take them on as well. Okay? You don't just take on the woman. Or a woman doesn't just take on the man. You take on the kids as well. Very important. And you try your best to raise them. Simple. But anyway, I will never forget that day. I'm nearly sure it was the 7th of July 24 last year. Got the whole lot turned around. Now I could have said a whole lot more to the judge and got her into a very, very serious amount of trouble. Probably jail. The solicitor would have to tell me beforehand, don't, Kenny, don't. Don't tell the judge the thing you told me. What she done in that 8.5 years. I knew I had my son back. The baron order was dropped, everything. Obviously the judge found out something somewhere. Because he wouldn't have turned that quick. That went against her. But anyway, that was absolutely brilliant. I'll never forget that day, about 2 weeks later. The first 2 months, seeing my son, he was 9 then, was supervised visits. right? There were supervised visits in a local petrol station, a public place. I didn't mind that. I didn't care as long as I got to see him again. It's been 17 months since we've seen each other. That first day, my God. He ran in the door of the petrol station into the shop, ran straight up, jumped up my arms. Sorry. Anyway, the 8 weeks went by and then I went to unsupervised visits. So the judge was after saying, as soon as Christmas comes, the two of you can make your own arrangements. But it's supervised visits and unsupervised visits from now until Christmas. That was back in July. So, sorry, just going back to that July, the first day I met him, I was after spending the 12 months at that homeless house. And then I got the house I'm in now, which is my own house for life. My own lovely little 2-bedroom house, single man. Now I have my kid 3 or 4 hours during the week and Saturdays for sleepovers, which is brilliant. She had to agree to that. The 1st of January. 1st of January, I text her. And I said, right, it's up to me and you now. That's what the judge said. We have to organise things from now on. But I was clever. I was clever the day of that court, back in July 24. I was after saying to my solicitor, if I don't win this court today, this case, and get access to see my son, I'm going to tell that judge everything. Everything what she done to me and what she done to the 4 kids in the house. Total psychopath, mental. Jekyll and Hyde, schizophrenic, that's what she was. But the only way she could get me out of the house back in November was write 2 page lies, whatever she wrote. And boom, I was automatically out. But probably for the first year, I could not. Oh, I hated her so much after what she done. And like I said, July this year came, or sorry, January, and I knew by telling my solicitor what I told her back in July that I'm going to bring her down big time if I don't get to see my son. Right? I told her that, my solicitor, because I knew she would tell her solicitor and she would tell her. That's the way solicitors work, they're all the one. There could be 10 of them there fighting different cases in the courtroom. 3 hours later, they're all having dinner together, laughing and joking. They're all the same, all the same. But I know for a fact the word got back to her that if I didn't get access that day, even though I did, the judge gave it to me, nothing to do with her. It was his decision. But I knew then I had her in January. Sleepovers, the whole lot. Because she was afraid. She actually told her solicitor she was afraid of her life. She'd never want to go inside the court again, ever. And her solicitor told my solicitor, and she told me. So I knew I kind of had her. But that's how easy it's done, my friends. It's always a woman's word in court. Now it's changing here slowly. I mean, I've mates locked up for 3 or 4 years for things they never done. because the woman is always believed. But that's changing here. It's starting to swing. Starting to swing slowly, but it is swinging. And I'm sure whoever's watching this video probably have to be in the same position. But to God it works out for you like it did for me. Because now I don't actually hate her anymore. Because we weren't getting on before she pulled that stunt. But here I am now, sitting in my own house for life, instead of being sitting up there arguing every day over nothing. Down and out. Total depression, anxiety. It was killing me. The things she was saying and doing. But now I can thank her first because I have my own house. I have my kid back. Life can be funny, lads. Life can be funny. Take every day with a pinch of salt. Okay? Now, obviously, I'm not great at making these videos. I'll get better and better as I go along. I tell you stories that happened to me, things that shouldn't have happened to me. I've been wrong so many times, wronged so many times, and I could do nothing about it. But that time I did. I did, and I won. I turned it around. And you can do it as well. Always remember that. Always try and get out of that hole that you're in, no matter what. Right? Now, my next video could be of 100 different things. I don't know. But I'll make another one shortly. I'll keep this going for as long as I can. All I ask, like, subscribe, please. Comment if you want. Comments would be lovely actually. Because I know there's a lot of you after experiencing certain things. And more than likely there's an awful lot of you, probably millions of you, after going through what I went through. Thrown out in the street like that for nothing. So that's it for now, folks. Good night and God bless. And make you all stay well. Lots of love, Kenny from Ireland. Please like and share. Take care. Good night.